I want you to look at the difference between the top photo where he's like buff and in good shape and happy and clear-eyed, and the bottom where he's laying on a couch wearing a t-shirt, you know, putting on weight, blurry-eyed. That's his MySpace friends. So now you know why. That's where the child support and the sleep is going. Okay, so you guys are hackers. You learn about exploits and you try to figure out countermeasures. So you wear, you know, you decide, you know, these facial recognition cameras aren't going to get me. I'm going to go to the novelty store and get a Groucho Marx nose and glasses and walk down the street. Won't help. There are now facial recognition algorithms that are being developed and being made better and better and better and better on a daily basis almost, that any piece of exposed skin can be compared. 95% accuracy. Now, for certain things, that's crap. That means if you check 1,000 people, you're going to get 50,000 false positives. The answer to that is you take that subset of 50,000 people and you rerun them until you're fairly accurate. But the nose and glasses won't work. So let's say you get a hoodie, you pull it up, you get the Elephant Man's mask, and you walk down the street saying, "I'm a human too." Won't help. They will recognize the Elephant Man's gait recognition. This was first developed, I spoke about this at Stevens. This was first developed, of course, in surveillance crazy England. I don't know if you guys remember Monty Python's Ministry of Silly Walks. That's probably who developed it. But they have a thing that can tell who you are by the way you walk. And the proof that it has some potential, FBI is investing $1 billion, I mean like the little guy, $1 billion in the technology. Cameras are going to be able to look at how you walk. You wear a hat, you wear a hoodie, you wear a mask. It's Bob with a hat, a hoodie, and a mask on. And by the way, this is one time when intrusive technology was great. This guy was a pedophile, and they found him molesting little children on pedophile websites. That was the original photo. Dutch cops figured out how to unswirl it, and they arrested him. So even if you think you can conceal your photo and do other things, forget it. All right. So you say, they're going to recognize me. They can tell how I walk. I'm going to get in my car, and I'm going to tint the windows, and I'm going to travel safely, and only like pop out at the last moment and run into the building.
This particular system is capable of capturing up to 3,000 license plates in an hour. We have 2 forward-facing cameras and 1 side-facing camera. The side-facing camera is out at a 90-degree angle, and it's basically for doing parking lot applications. I can go into a parking lot of a shopping center and drive down the lanes of the parking lot, and as I'm doing that, I'm running every single license plate in that parking lot. The forward-facing cameras, one is forward-facing to the lane to the left, and one is forward-facing to the lane to the right. And what I'm getting there is typically oncoming cars, and the camera to the right would be either cars in the number 2 lane or cars that are parked along the side of the road. So what the screen gives you here is it gives you an overview picture of the vehicle. The software then isolates the license plate and it gives you the plate patch. And what you see here in the yellow box above the plate patch is what the software actually read the plate to be. So one of the other applications for this system is to frequently check parking lots for vehicles that are of interest to the police.
Just want to show you one thing.
But auto theft and traffic enforcement only scratch the surface of what ALPR is capable of doing. We also have...
Look at that picture. That's for real. This if you are observant enough, drive down the interstates, you will see every overpass, every bridge abutment, every possible place to mount a camera. Cameras are now being mounted. If there is a BOLO, if there's a be on the lookout notice for Bob driving Subaru license plate ABC 123, it will be programmed into the license plate recognition alert. The minute you drive down the street, a cop will know where you are be vectored right into you. That's a good thing. Now, a bad thing, Bob is an annoying hacker. We want to know who he's meeting with and where he's going, but he's really sensitive to surveillance. And he checks his car for bumper beepers, and he doesn't have an iPhone, and he takes the battery out of his phone. And he pays cash for everything. They can still track you. A couple of things, and I'm going to now start going through this at the speed of light because we want to allow time for the Q&A. It's gotten so good. This is a real Quaviti billboard. They now have billboards. You look at the billboard looks back at you, knows how long you're looking at the billboard, what you were looking at. Facial recognition glasses. Now, how many times have somebody come up to you, Bob, how you doing? And you're like, oh shit, who is this? All you have to do in a couple of years, hit a button. Oh, this is Fred, he owes me $50, and you know, he's always trying to mooch money off of me. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are, go away. This is an actual beta testing pair. CCTVs, just letting you know, not very worthwhile in the real world. If you catch somebody and you've got the video, you can use it to convict them. But actually using it to catch them, not very effective. Now, you know, the one thing is, photos of a crime in progress, it's a great thing. I mean, it's a photo. Photos don't lie. You know, it's not like a photo can be made to show you doing something you didn't do, or events that didn't happen. I love that one. Oh, final word on surveillance cameras. Okay. One more time from Baltimore. There you go. Okay. Very quickly, interpretation of activity and behavior. I've been talking for 2 hours now, how people watch you and how people track you and how they gather this. One of the most important things is they've got all this data. What the hell do they do with it? Well, they run it through artificial intelligence programs, and they run it through other programs that interpret it for them. Instead of an analyst sitting there with printouts or in front of a computer screen, the computer decides if you're a good guy or a bad guy. And a lot of times, it's legit. I mean, you check flights to Iran right before a bombing and split. You buy a book on fighting cancer. Either you or somebody you know has cancer. You rent a gay porno movie. You're probably gay. You put an address into MapQuest. You're interested in that address. You fill a prescription for Xanax. You fill a prescription for Viagra. Duh. Here's my favorite one. You're on a plane 4 times this year, sitting next to the same woman who's not your wife. I mean, unlikely it's a coincidence. And it means something. And this is the state of things today. There are 2 big programs that are being constantly worked on and updated for the US government to interpret that. One is called NORA, which stands for Non-Obvious Relationship Awareness. This was started in Vegas casinos. The stuff that you see on that show, I think it's called Casino, right? Or Vegas or whatever. James Caan plays the casino owner. And it shows they zoom in on the guy's face and it immediately tells them who it is and it pulls up his whole history. Absolutely legit. Casinos really do that and really can do it. And it's being developed for the government. And the example of this when it was pitched by the casino guys to the government was the blackjack dealer once shared a telephone number with the sister of the guy now winning big at his table. Think about that for a second. Not hard to do for a database. There's something called ADVISE, Analysis, Dissemination, Visualization, Insight, and Semantic Enhancement. Only the government can name that. This is being developed for DHS, Department of Homeland Security, showing links between data and all the links of these links to individual people. In 2004, DHS at their big conference in Virginia that they held that year, at that time, their requirement was storage for 1 quadrillion links. Then, now, beyond belief. Now look, I'm an investigator. I'm not going to stand up here and say, ooh, this is all bad, because sometimes it's good. When the government actually uses the right information in the right way and does its job, it saves lives. It could have saved 3,000 lives right here in New York. Let me interpret this for you. Of the 9/11 hijackers, 2 were known as Al-Qaeda terrorists who were coming into this country to do a terrorist act. Al-Hizmi and Al-Midhar. They were known. They were known to the CIA. They were known to the FBI. Unfortunately, the CIA didn't tell the FBI they were already in America. That's another story. 14 of the other terrorists could have been linked to them through the most basic database checks that even a private investigator could have done. Mohammed Atta, the ringleader, shared an address. 5 other terrorists shared a telephone number with Atta. Another terrorist shared a frequent flyer number, and another terrorist not on the watch list shared an address. Just this basic database matching, if it had been done in a timely way, and it had been done efficiently, the World Trade Center would conceivably still be standing. And this would be a different world. So this is not always a bad thing. It's a bad thing when it's used on innocent people. Now, I'm going to flip through a lot of this, I'm sorry. We're going to talk 5 minutes about a real world case, and then we're going to go into Q&A. When you're an investigator and you're building a profile on somebody, when I teach these classes, I tell people it's like pulling a piece of string. As soon as you have something to pull onto, something to hold onto, and start pulling, you're going to get more information and more and more. Now here's a very, very typical use. You have a telephone number. Everybody knows the telephone number is going to give you a name and an address. From there you get a date of birth and a social security number. By the way, anybody who doesn't believe me, I'll demonstrate it to you later. Past addresses, family members, places of employment, businesses, corporations, real property, public records, marriage, divorce, voter registration, criminal records, civil court, every type of filing, UCCs, taxes, permits, licenses, carry permits for guns, your driver's license, your motor vehicles, accidents you've been in, credit reports, phone bills, credit card bills, 800 number calls, purchasing histories, donations. I don't have a screen big enough. It would go up, down the ceiling, down the other wall in the back. As long as you've got a good starting point, you can build on it. This is basic database investigation. It's done 1 billion times a day by law enforcement and private investigators. So, look familiar? Two years ago, before the Hope Talk that was rudely preempted, I went on Off the Hook, the 2600 radio show, which you should all listen to, and I asked for a volunteer, and the next morning I got an email. Hi, my name's Rick Dakin. I want to volunteer. I'm a writer, and then he gives his very brief contact information on the bottom. So the first thing I did was I ran the phone number. Now, obviously, out of respect for Rick, a lot of the information is going to be truncated. Just by running the phone number, we were able to get his name, his address, his social security number, his date of birth, where he works, and that he's a real person. It seemed legit, so I gave him a call. And I said, Rick, we had a problem in 2004. I did this with a guy who I met the day before as a courtesy. He said, look, I'd just like to know what you got on me so I don't have a heart attack in the audience. And I met with him and I showed him everything I'd gathered. And that night I got a call at my office from his attorney who said, I know he gave you permission, but if you do the presentation, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to spend the rest of my life filing lawsuits against you. So I couldn't do it in 2004. In 2006, I had a waiver ready. And I sent it down to Rick, and Rick signed it. And I want to read you one key paragraph. Pelorium, which is my agency, may disseminate any information about me which it obtains and or compiles to any person in any venue as it sees fit, even if the dissemination of that information could cause me harm, emotional distress,